the King of Kings doesn't need a sword.
Let's go ahead and take a look today at a bunch of different stories with Jesus in it, because it's Easter and I like Jesus. But there's so many different stories that filmmakers have done and so many different portrayals of Jesus. I want to take 5 of them and examine them and see how they stack up.
Yeah? And what do you say?
So I wanted to give all these like an even shot here. And so I wanted to take a look at the same scene in each story, if possible. And so here's our criteria that we're going to take a look at. But let's take a look at The Chosen here. And so, like I said, I wanted to take one single, same scene for each one, just about. And for all of them, I'm taking a look at the woman caught in adultery. But for this specific one, The Chosen, I couldn't find that. I don't know if that scene hasn't been written yet, but I did find one where he was at the well with a woman, the Samaritan woman. So let's take a look at that one.
Won't you be defiled by this vessel?
So right away we can see that the Samaritan woman has a lot of bitterness or hatred in her heart towards Jews because of kind of the constant persecution she gets from them. Jews and Samaritans in this era did not get along. That's why, in the Bible, when Jesus did talk about a good Samaritan, he chose that purposely because he wanted the Jews to know what it was like to love their neighbor. And by making the hero of that story Samaritan, it really challenged their biblical identity and biblical, I guess, religious identity and religious beliefs at the time. And that's kind of really what Jesus was there to do. And if you see a little bit more in this clip, that's what Jesus does as well.
Your water is better than his?
I know, Jacob. I'm here to break those barriers.
So Jesus talking about breaking barriers here is a little bit iffy. We notice kind of the social politics of this. And yeah, it's hard not to take a story, especially about Jesus, and kind of put your own spin on it. But especially if it's about Jesus, you really, really, really have to stay biblically accurate, if you can, and kind of check your politics at the door.
He wasn't a good man. He hurt you.
Now it's beautiful how he's kind of knows her. There's a good relationship. Like she's like, okay, this is a connection. This is absolutely God. He says that he knew Jacob. He says that he knows her. So that's great too, because in a lot of stories we'll see, especially ones that we cover a little bit later too, we'll see the disconnect, and we'll see how they take Jesus and kind of separate him from God. So the fact that they are, intertwined, at least in this scene of The Chosen, is really, really good, really strong. We know that Jesus is God. There are 3 parts: God the Father, Jesus the Son, and then the Holy Spirit. And in the beginning of the world, it was them, There was all those parts. It's not like God split himself apart to become Jesus. Jesus was always there. Jesus was always a part of God. Yeah, I guess my biggest beef totally with this scene was that there is no call to redemption for this woman. We know that the biggest power that Jesus brings is the power of redemption in someone's life, Jesus is our scapegoat. He's our way to get rid of the sin that we can't clean or cleanse by ourselves. So the simple fact that she does not ask for the living water here is a huge miss. And Yeah, I think this one misses the point a little bit. So let's take a look. Is it biblical? Yeah, I'm going to say yeah, in a lot of ways. There's some stuff that was missing, but I think for the most part, we can go ahead and give that a check. There was some extra stuff in here with the social politics. We do see that Jesus's heart was good here. So we're going to go ahead and get that one there. And we do see the Jesus power of gospel. I mean, there's no redemptiveness here. So yeah, we have to check that one as so. All right, so okay, ish. Let's move on to the next one.
Just tell us, is it right to kill her?
Okay, Jesus of Nazareth. This is an old, I think it's 1977. Yeah, let's take a look.
She should be punished according to the law.
They bring her before Jesus. Yep.
No one.
Then neither do I condemn you.
Okay. Jesus is very stoic here. He looks very distant, like kind of sad.
Go. And sin no more.
Okay. So, yeah, very basic, clean, cut, and dry. I'd have to say that the biblical elements are there for this one, for sure. We see that there's definitely not any extra there. And then we do see the Jesus power, as she was called to go and sin no more. That's a very, very important part of this story that people don't understand. It's the twofold, right? One, Jesus saved her from getting stoned, and to go and sin no more. Now, whether she actually did that, we don't know, but that's the two things that Jesus does in this scene, and I think he does it well. And so we'll get here. But heart power, he seems very distant, very disconnected from this individual, very disconnected from himself. He's just a very stoic kind of plain Jane, if I do say so, kind of Jesus. Oh, and also this one. Sorry, whoops. There you go. You can stop screaming now. That one is good. There's no extra. All right, let's move on to number 3 here, which is going to be the Passion of the Christ. I love the effects in the sand there. Him drawing the line, it's very epic. Okay, so unlike the last clip that we saw, look at his eyes and the face. He's got this kind of swollen hate for the Pharisees here, which, I mean, he is human. I mean, I think it's justified that, he would show that type of emotion, maybe not outwardly, but definitely like maybe with the gaze, which we see here, and I like that. The woman kind of crawling to him, clawing at him picking her up. Very cool. No, very little spoken here, which is kind of fun. The implied message is there. We don't really see the full story yet, so we can't really tell if it was completely biblical. If that's all they're showing us, that there is some missing from that story. They definitely didn't really put anything extra in it on top of it. I think the heart of Jesus is there. You do see the kind of, like I said before, the raw emotion that he has for protecting her. The look of Jesus, he really looks at these Pharisees with kind of contentment and a little bit of, oh, what are you doing? It's great to see that intensity, and I feel like, as opposed to the last one, there's more heart here because you can see him kind of admit that it just in his eyes. We don't see the redemption with Jesus's power and the impact of the gospel on her. So let's go ahead and mark that as such. All right. One that I really, really wanted to take a look at was King of Kings.
Fine.
Seems like a great movie. I haven't seen it all yet, but it seems really cool. But they did have a scene available on Angel, that website. It was really cool. I think this was just a solid scene with the father telling his son the story. The little cut in between saying, "Oh, wouldn't it be great if he saved her with a sword?" It's very applicable to that kid in that situation. And what that scene does well is it's very biblically correct. There's nothing added in there except for Jesus going, kind of like taunting the accusers there. There's heart there for the girl, and there's a redemptive part there too, because he says, "Go sin no more." So all the elements are there for really great kind of story. So for that very reason, I think biblically it was good. Didn't seem like there was a lot of it. Heart, yeah. I know that Jesus power, yeah. Good scene. Good scene. I do think that the King of Kings, which is just the new movie that came out, it's one of the best portrayals of Jesus, which is so crazy, so great that new audience have a chance to just see this. If I have to say so, there's still a better one out there. 5. You're like, wait, there's still 5 there. Yeah, because the best scene out there is this.
Help me.
Ben-Hur, what a powerful scene, because here, look, we do not see the face of Jesus.
You! I said no water for him!
There's that reverence there, that power, assuming, and the heart, him giving him a drink of water. Oh, this is a good scene. This is a great scene. But you may be thinking, it's a little watered down. Pardon me. But there's not enough there to call this the best portrayal of Jesus. And you have to take into consideration this character. In this life, in this story, it is not Jesus, but Ben-Hur who takes the center stage. And Jesus kind of acts as a catalyst in him to kind of soothe his wrathful heart in this movie. And so let's take a look at that final scene at the end. The fact that Ben-Hur now is the one giving him the water is so powerful. In a lot of ways, Jesus does choose us and saves us, like he did with Ben-Hur at the well when no one was giving him water, right? But then there comes a time where we have to choose him and his light and his way. And this is what Ben-Hur does. And honestly, I love all these biblical stories, but there is no fair way to really even encapsulate who Jesus is onto a film. There really isn't. Which is why I love that adaptation. He's shining, he's bright, he's got this aura about him that makes the guards like piss their pants. It's fantastic, because this is the type of Jesus that I think I follow, right? And obviously this is just another portrayal, right? But the fact that the portrayal is so vague and just keeps the reverence of Jesus, we don't know a lot of context, but it is just really how he empowers us to conquer our sinful nature. And that's a representation of what happens to Ben-Hur, and this is why probably Ben-Hur is still my favorite movie of all time. Really, really hot take there. But anyways, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. And go ahead and leave a like or subscribe. I'm going to go put up some videos on the side here. Maybe over here. I don't know where we're going to put them. But please go ahead and keep liking. I had meant to put up some Moses video. So if that's done, it's going to be somewhere on my face over here. Who knows? Alright, take care guys. Bye.